Hi everyone. I'm going to be covering the Pogchamps tournament in about an hour and 45 minutes. I'm really excited. It's going to be Fusely and Arab on the first hour. I may or may not have. Okay, so I'm going to have to dip out in I think about 15 minutes or in 45 minutes. And I'm going to be coming back though right at the start of the round. I wish this schedule worked differently. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have my appointment because I have a therapy appointment. I'm pretty sure at either 12:40 or 1. It might be 1:30. Oh, either way, I will be back to talk about the games, regardless of whether it's live or not. So don't worry. Obviously, there is beautiful coverage going to be happening on chess.com or I think Hikaru Nakamura's channel, Alexander Botez. You're going to have all sorts of great stuff. I'm going to have to watch those on the replay, though, because this is a great opportunity for me to cover these, these noob games. Because I, as a fellow noob, who has, who has fooled herself into giving, I've fooled myself by giving myself vocabulary that, oh, hey, Kapchka. First easy. Yeah, it's going to be Fusli and Arab on the first round. I've already found her chess.com username is exactly the same, so I'm just going to /follow her as soon as she. Apparently, you can't /follow somebody unless they're actually in live, so I have to wait until she gets on. But I'm going to try to keep the stream running with the game. And I'm going to be here. I'm just going to turn the webcam off because I'm going to have an appointment. But as soon as that's over, I will be back and ready. And we are going to have lots of fun. It's definitely a good experience commentating, especially commentating games that are most likely going to be ending in Scholar's Mate. Hopefully Fusli figured that out. I saw her stream yesterday or the other day. I saw her stream the other day, and she was talking about how she got Scholars Mated, and I was watching her lesson with Hikaru's. I'm hopefully she learned from those. She's a smart girl. I didn't see Erob play. I was looking through his streams. I didn't see any chess streams. I was trying to find any lessons he was getting. Because the first round is going to be Fusli and Arab. Right now I'm just kind of chilling. I could put up top games for you guys just to have chess going. Oh, and you know what I also figured out? Remember how I was complaining? Yeah, we have like an hour. We have like an hour and 20 minutes before the actual event. So I mean, I started really early. I just came on to let everyone know. Well, obviously everyone. I just came on just to get started. I will be I will be turning my webcam off for an hour at some point. Within the next 30 minutes, because I have a therapy appointment. But yeah, you know what I figured out? Remember how I was complaining on the analysis board? Why aren't you protesting? Well, no need to be rude. Yeah. Not everybody wants to go outside and expose themselves to coronavirus. And I listened to some black people, and they said you don't have to protest if that's what you do. Arm yourself with knowledge, educate yourself about the actual history, and share that knowledge with others, or pay reparations somehow. That's what black people want. I was listening to actual black people say what they want from white people. Okay, what they want from white people, people say, oh, should I protest? Should I do this? Should I do that? And they said, protest if that's what you do, if that's what you want to do to contribute. pay reparations through some organization or directly to a member of your community who's black, or educate yourself on the history of slavery and racism, and also and the culture. Like, I'm a jazz musician. Okay, I spent my whole life surrounded by black culture. Okay, I try to spread it everywhere I go. I try to advocate, against racism. I try to spread awareness. Okay, that's what I do. That's what I do to pay reparations. I can't pay financially. I can't protest because I physically do not want to risk my body and my safety and my freedom, because you can get arrested. I could get hit with rubber bullets. I'm struggling just to live as it is, and I just started living my life, my best version of myself, and I can't be putting myself out there where I can risk injury, serious injury, and I'm diabetic. I can risk serious injury that could be fatal. Okay? Just because you're not willing to do what these amazing fighters are doing doesn't make you a quote-unquote pussy, whatever you say. Anyway, I'm not going to respond to anybody else with that. Anybody else does stuff like that, they're getting a ban and they're getting ignored. I'm gonna owe you that one. I don't owe you anything, but I'm gonna give you that one explanation, and that's it forever. So it's probably not true. But yeah, let's auto watch Top Game. I think I have to start. Oh, Hikaru's playing. That's interesting. Someone's like, "Hi, can I play against you, Hikaru, please?" And then somebody's just someone named Spammer is spanning shameless American, shameless American, shameless American. People are actually telling him to stop. All you have to do is click on their name and then click report spamming, and then click on the checkbox that says block. That's all you have to do. And they'll make a new account, and you do the same with them. And then hopefully eventually, I wish if only chess.com could start doing like IP related stuff. I'm pretty sure they can do IP bans. No, I think they choose not to. I'm not sure though. But I'm not sure, but if you notice, you can't see it. You can actually turn the engine off now. I don't know if that was always there. Maybe it always was. I don't remember seeing it. I don't remember seeing this menu item. I don't remember seeing engine. I remember seeing Komodo.js, Stockfish.js. I do not remember seeing this engine off. So they must be listening to us. I don't know if they're listening to me specifically. Or they're like, "Rebecca, we love you. We've been watching your streams that you started. We've been quiet because we did not want to ruin your beautiful stream. We have been watching you, and we have been waiting for our moment to come to you and say, Rebecca, we love you, and you have 10 million followers, and you just didn't know about it because we made it so that you couldn't see it, and we made sure that nobody come to your stream, and sadly the only people who did come to the streams were the bad trolls, and so all of your viewers were actually on this secret stream that you couldn't see, and they were right there with you, Rebecca, all along. They were watching you. They were seeing you go through your trials and tribulations. They were crying. They were making memes. They were laughing. They were crying. And they were cheering you on. And they love you. And now we unveil to you this secret we have kept. And now you are our hero, Rebecca. Yeah, how about no? I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think that's why I have no viewers. Like, I mean, that's it's not impossible, but it's highly improbable. Highly improbable. Yeah, just waiting. Okay, how come it's not going to the top game? Oh, I have to refresh. I forgot. When you do that, you have to refresh the page. That's another thing. I feel like not many people know about that. Maybe they should fix that if they're listening. Because apparently they're listening, because you could actually turn the engine off, which was like, I was so pissed that I couldn't turn the engine off in the analysis board, and I was like, it still runs after you like, even if you have it on self-analysis or don't have evaluation line on or whatever. And I'm like, oh, there's an engine equals off on the drop down menu. I did not realize that, but maybe they added that, or it was actually, it wouldn't have been chess.com. It would have been I guess it would have been. I don't know. I feel like they have two different jock straps. They have two different JavaScripts. They have Komodo.js and Stockfish.js. Now remember that Stockfish.js and Komodo.js are not going to be the same as what you would run on your computer. I mean, maybe they are. They're portable versions. And it must, the thing is about programming is a lot of people don't realize, maybe it's true in this case, but most of the time when you have different branches of the same code, they're not the exact same code. Like, obviously JavaScript is different than C or whatever, the engines are written in. But also there's different people maintaining that code. So it's like you're going to have a different group of people working on the Stockfish.js than you are who are working on the Stockfish for computers. And just like how you have a different team working for the Stockfish that's on your phone. And so a lot of people don't really realize this, like, really behind the scenes stuff. It's virtually undetectable, but if you really look at the code and like look at how like things run, it's like very different. Very different. Oh wow, Blitzstream is playing. So yeah, I'm gonna give you guys some music. I'm gonna turn the music off when the coverage starts. I'm gonna upload it to YouTube later. What kind of music are we gonna have? Let's just get the theme of my channel is I usually need to chill out. I try to relax. I try to stay calm. And also I really like lo-fi hip-hop. It's music to chill and study to, so this is right up my alley. Yeah, so what's NM? NM means notorious monster. No, NM means National Master. So National Master or FIDE Master if you're in a different country. National Master, some countries don't have National Master. You just have to go straight for the international title, which is FIDE Master. National Master means that you have reached a master level in your own country. So this person is from France, and it's from their, the way the federations work is there is FIDE, which is the International Federation of Chess, Fédération Internationale d'Échecs. I'm sorry if I butchered that French pronunciation, but there's also each country has their own federation. Like there's United States Chess Federation. There's there's a Japanese federation. A lot of people don't really pay attention to Japan, it seems, in chess because, for the most part, chess is popular in Japan. Japanese people do play chess, but most people think of shogi when they think of Japan. Anyway, I am going to be back later. And here we go. Fusely and W Rob, which is E Rob. Alright, so she's playing the white pieces. And she goes with the queen's pawn opening. So the queen's pawn opening, she might be going for the London system, because for a lot of beginners who don't want to think about theory, going through a system, you know, there's the Collie system, but most people want to go for the London system. Maybe you're not going to go with, maybe she's not going to go with bishop f4 right away. Maybe she's going to play the knight first. Basically, you play these moves every single time. And you might even just play, instead of after you play c4, you play knight f3, knight c3 instead of knight bd2. But it's a pretty straightforward opening. Okay, so we got queen's pawn opening. Now, is she going to go for a theory line, or is she going to go... Okay, so she is going for London. That takes away a lot of theory. And so there's a lot of things black can do. So black can continue somehow... maybe developing a knight, maybe fianchettoing the bishop, but most likely e6. Okay, so e6 is probably going to happen, maybe bishop b4. Give me a check on the king. Right now we're still in the opening. It's basically preparation. Right now it's just pretty basic stuff. She knows how to make the hat, as she calls it. So she's probably going directly for this hat. I had a good feeling she'd be playing the London system, because I was seeing her lesson with Hikaru. And now the thing is she gonna see this? Okay, she saw that. Okay, good. Because a lot of people might want to take that pawn, which it looks really tasty. But then it's like you're not going to be able to hold on to that pawn for either side, whether in the Queen's Gambit accepted or Queen's Gambit declined. If black takes that, if you play the Queen's Gambit with c4 and black takes it, you're eventually going to lose that pawn. And likewise with black, if black plays c5 and if you take that pawn, well, eventually e6 is going to be played, bishop's going to take on c5. So now we have knight f3 being played. This is just standard stuff, getting everything defended, everything connected. Queen's coming out, attacking b2. Now, is she going to see this? Is she going to play queen c2? Is she going to play queen f3? Is she going to play the pawn to b3? Okay, so she played pawn to b3. White might be able to rip that open with black might be able to rip that open with c4. So far, so good for both sides, but I feel like black might have a chance here with c4 coming in, because then you would be able to rip open the position. Bishop, okay, yeah. Bishop can open the position like this. If you let, I mean, I don't know, maybe you could just let this happen if you take on b3. A takes b3 and you opened up your rook. So there are things to consider here. Also, the queen could come active and then offer a queen trade, doing the same thing. So there's a couple different options here for white. Just ignoring it and just getting... You know, the thing is white wants to play the bishop to d3. So maybe you want to wait to see what black does. And it looks like she did that. She played knight bd2, and she's following her opening system. She's actually playing really carefully. She's not letting anything... She's not letting anything decide. Like a lot of people, like a lot of us, and I do this too, is we see a move and we get out of our preparation just because, like, we know what we're supposed to do, but then we see a move that kind of like freaks us out. Like I'm pretty sure like this move c4, she wasn't expecting that. Maybe she was, but I don't think she was expecting that. Okay, now she brings in the knight. Maybe she's thinking that something's going to happen down here. So maybe there is an idea. Maybe she does want to start the trade. Maybe she does want to play bishop takes c4, because then d takes c4, bishop takes c4, or knight. Maybe the bishop, because then you would develop your bishop and you'd be getting ready to castle. So it looks like black is going in for, black isn't going in for an attack, but black has this strong pawn structure. It's a very closed center. And yeah, the question is maybe this pin. I don't know if that's... They're actually playing really strong openings right now. Their preparation with the GMs and such is definitely going to be paying off. Now we're probably going to see a lot of stuff happen as the game goes on. Blunders begin. People are saying blunders begin. I'm going to even just like minimize. I'm not even going to look at the chat, the game chat, because there's just people just spamming all sorts of stuff about the game, and I'm trying to have my own... I'm trying to do my own analysis, not just looking at other people's, and that's the whole idea. So there is a pin on this knight now. Maybe you want to play something like queen f3 to defend this bishop, because you could just start this trade now. If you start this trade, b takes c4, d takes c4, yeah, and then you would get your bishop out, but then the bishop can take the knight, and then you can just take with the bishop. Okay, it's fine. There's no risk here. There's a bishop already guarding this pawn, so you don't have to worry about taking with the knight, because if you took with the knight, bishop takes bishop, and then e takes on f4, and it kind of opens up the center a little bit and kind of doubles up pawns, which would not be good for white. So if honestly, black needs to be careful. Oh, okay, maybe not so careful. You could just take with the bishop, knight takes, and then pawn takes, and you're threatening the knight. Yeah. And then you could still, at some point, push c5. Yeah, so black didn't fall for that. They are both moving relatively quickly. I think they're used to playing blitz games. But, I don't know, maybe they'll surprise us with the, I mean, there is increment, but there's also, it's still, I wouldn't say they're moving too quickly. I would just say, there is, you don't want to be too hard on the players, especially when they're lower rated. Because, like, there's a lot of factors going on. This is a big tournament. They're all playing for a lot of money. Like, number one is 10,000. Okay, that's 10,000 bucks right in the bank. Okay, so this is a big deal. Maybe you want to trade off at some point, but I feel like maybe you want to move the queen somewhere, or just castle and just protect your king. If pawn takes, you can just take with the knight or the bishop. Actually, I would think you'd want to take with the knight, because then it's putting pressure on the queen. Oh, so black castles. Yeah, you should, as white should be able to just castle, because if this pawn ever takes or advances, you'd be able to fix your pawn structure. Because this is doubled up pawns, not terrible in its own right, but not ideal. Sometimes it is ideal in a very specific positions, but most likely, like, white would be okay with d takes c4, because the bishop would just take. Okay, whoa, she's going in for some attacks. Maybe she sees the checkmate. So black can deal with this, though. All you have to do is play h6. If black makes the wrong move here, it's mate in 1. If black makes the... Oh, mate in 1. Looks like Fuseli gets off with the cheese. She knows what she's doing. Holy crap. E-Rob did not see that. What a game. Just what a game. Yeah, so let's look at the game a little bit closer. I would say it's pretty good so far here in the opening. Yeah, this was the wrong move. Yeah, h6 needed to be played. Oh, very exciting first game. A quick victory for Leslie Fu, otherwise known as Fuseli. Let's see.
Went for it. It paid off. Yeah, so we definitely finished this game a little bit earlier than we had planned. But huge shout out to the almost 35,000 people watching Fuseli go for this incredible checkmate.
Exactly. So, like, I don't know. I don't know when they're starting. When are they starting the next round here? Let's see. Let me load that up, because I need to know when they start. I think the next round starts in 50 minutes. So we have a lot of stuff. I mean, I could play games myself in between. Let's see. Pogchamps schedule. Okay. Yeah, the next game in round 1. There's 3 games today. 2 from Group A and 1 from Group B. So the next game is between Nate Hill and Voy Boy, and that starts at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And so we have some time before that. And let me look at that link that you sent me. Okay, it's a YouTube video, so I'm going to have to watch it later. Yeah, very, very interesting game. Let me unfollow her. So, I mean, not unfollow her on... It's funny when you say unfollow. It's like, I don't mean on Twitch. You should follow Fusely on Twitch. And erob221. But the next game is going to be between Nate Hill and Voyboy. I don't know why I closed the tab. Yeah, next round, Nate Hill and Voyboy. I'm guessing Voyboy is going to be winning. But who knows? Maybe Nate Hill will be giving, you know, a run for his money. So yeah, that's basically Black should have played H6 here. That's all there. Hey Capsco, welcome back. So this game ended very quickly. Very standard London system here. Some interesting ideas here on C4. I would say it was actually pretty complicated, but Fusely surprised me because, you know, she really punished. She got this idea. She was punished so many times by being cheesed that she did a cheese of her own. And this needed to be played, but instead, Black made erob. He made a move here, threatening the rook on A1, which would be a very good move if this queen and bishop weren't lined up. So it's, you know, it's a very, very common mistake among low-rated players. Happens to me all the time when you just miss a mate in one, because this is just straight up mate in one. So when you see a check, especially when you see a bishop and a queen connected to the same square, you really need to be careful that, like, okay, this is happening. Can I ignore it? No, because it's mate in one. Okay, so how can I get rid of it? I can't move the king because it's still mate in one. Can I block the bishop? Does not look like. I mean, you could play here, but then you just take en passant. So if you play f5 here, you just take e takes f6, and it's the end of that, and the threat is still there. So h6. I mean, I guess then you could play rook f5, you know, but then just bishop takes f5, and, you know, e takes f5, queen takes f5, and you're just down material at that point. So h6 does get rid of the attack completely, and then at some point you might want to get this pawn distracted and maybe try to move the knight in to attack that queen. Just put some pressure. Yeah, I would say very disappointing, but that's sometimes how it goes. The next game is at 3 p.m., so we have 45 minutes. Yeah, let's play a game, Kapchka. You can even use this link. The one that said, oh, I should use the challenge link. It just says that one. You can even use that link, and it'll challenge me to. I mean, you could change the time to whatever you want, but you could just challenge me directly with that link. So yeah, let's get the music back on since we're no longer in the tournament portion. I'm gonna edit this. I'm gonna highlight just the Pogchamps tournament later and upload it on YouTube. So I'm not gonna have music during the analysis. But yeah, good job, Fusely. It just made me play versus random person. Ooh! Did I forget? Okay, I need to edit that even further. There's a. Okay, thanks for testing that out for me. There's a way to. I need to actually specify the player. Which one did I type it into? Did I type it in here? Okay. Well, let me just copy and paste it. That'll work. So they started the game. Follow Nate Hill. Here we go. Well, they've already a couple moves in. This is really quick. They're going for a Sicilian. It's an old Sicilian. So far this is, like, you know, really standard stuff. Looks like Jodet Estefani. That's Voy Boy. So it looks like Voy Boy is going for Fianchetto Bishop, Dragon Line. Because this is looking like a close Sicilian. Because Nate played D3, and that's gonna create a close Sicilian. Yeah. Let me turn off the music. This is I'm gonna put this up on YouTube later. The Pogchamp portions of today. Yeah, I'm doing my own coverage of the Pogchamps. Obviously, I'll watch the chess.com coverage later on the VOD, but this is a good opportunity for me to cover this. Yeah, so bringing the queen to e2, just guarding the pawns. So far, it's really closed. There's really not much that can go wrong for either side unless you go for a premature attack. Like if black decided to move this knight over here to b4, maybe thinking of coming over to c2, but there's really not much because the queen's covering that. Maybe white would get a little scared and play a3, so looks like Voy Boy is really kind of playing solidly. Are you going to go play League? We'll see you again, Kapchka. Thanks for the game. Yeah, there's really not much attacks. If any side goes in for a premature attaculation, it's going to pretty much not end well for the attacker because there's really not enough stuff into the game, and you haven't protected your king yet as black. So, I mean, if you try to do something like a6 and then b5, attacking the bishop, well, the bishop could always just come down to b3, and maybe you could say you could play c4, but then you can just do d takes c4. So white decides just to continue development, just really going in for like staying solid here. If I were playing black here, I would just castle because you really got to protect your king. Maybe play queen d7 to connect the bishop to the queen, but then h3 can come at any moment, attacking the bishop. So this isn't too bad because you can always play bishop e6. But with the queen on d7, you'd be able to recapture with the queen, so white would probably not want to trade off. So protecting the king by castling kingside. White has a job to do. Maybe play a3, connect the rook somewhere, figure out where you want to play your files. If I were playing white here, you wouldn't really want to go in for any attacks just yet. Maybe you want to play h3 just to kind of poke the bishop, maybe force the bishop back here. Okay, so creating a pin, but you're not pinning anything. So maybe a6 is going to happen, and then maybe bishop takes c6, and you get kind of like a Ruy Lopez structure after b takes c6 instead of d takes. Because normally d would take, which is counterintuitive to what you would normally do. Normally you want to capture towards the center, but if white is allowed to take this and the only thing capturing is a pawn, would be the b pawn. Might be a bit risky, but would it be interesting? Castle long, start a pawn storm for black. Well, if you castled long, maybe you could bring the pawn over here along to b5. It wouldn't be really risky because you do have a pawn structure that's pointing towards the queen side. Maybe you'd be able to get a pawn over onto b4. It's definitely too late for now at this point. Okay, and so black is playing directly, defending the knight. So now if white were to take the knight, you would just recapture with the queen, and not only that, you'd be gaining influence over the long light diagonal. And so, I mean, the bishop's not in any danger, but a6 is coming at any time. You'd have to play bishop a4, and then not really any danger immediately, but you'd be able to bring the queen closer into your camp. After a3, though, you just play queen a5, maybe have control over this diagonal. Maybe something to think about. Obviously, this pawn is pinned, so maybe white be able to take advantage of that. Okay, protecting the bishop, opening up the rook slightly, so that there's ideas of a rook lift, maybe. Maybe bring the knight over to d5, and then slide the rook over to either b3 or c3. And then maybe something revealing with the rook along this file, with the bishop, if there's a chance. But it's such a close position, there's really not much you can do. a6 would be dangerous, since b2 would be hanging straight away, causing further issues. Yeah, the Ruy Lopez. Some people say Rui. I just call it the Ruy Lopez. I'm pretty sure everyone says that. Dangerous for white. Yeah, this is pretty dangerous, but it's still closed, very closed position. This is a very closed position. So there's a lot of pressure that black's giving. So, yeah, this is going to come. But there's a lot of escape squares for this bishop. The bishop can come over to any of these squares. If you push this pawn, Well, the pawn could just take, knight takes, and then bishop takes. So you can't really attack the bishop once you're on c4. H3 could come at any moment, but the bishop always has escape squares. Not only that, but I think h3 would actually help out black, because that would put the bishop back protecting this knight, and it would free up your queen, but obviously the queen can't really go too many places. So in these very close positions, you're really playing like kind of really slow tactical ideas. And so here we go, pushing away the queen, and so now after the queen moves, you're still defending the knight that way. If you move to queen a7, then you can capture the knight, and it would double up pawns. So I think black here is going to try to find a pawn break. White's doing the same. This is very closed. I guess you know, Nate really wanted to play a closed game by playing d3, and so I'm pretty sure both these players are very comfortable in this kind of position. You can kind of tell this game that both of these players are really reacting properly. There's an issue though. I failed to realize. Yeah, you just lose a pawn there. Yeah, so that's actually, I'm pretty sure black is going to start winning here now. If white can get rid of the knight on f6, knight d5 would be pretty awesome looking, I guess. Knight on f6. White can't really attack that knight. Maybe you could play bishop g5 and then trade it off and get the bishop there. Okay, or play the knight. Okay, now you're threatening the queen. The queen can just move over to d8 though, and you're still defending the knight. And so white just lost a pawn. So Nate is now playing down a pawn. And usually, you know, obviously, you know, anything can go at this level. I feel like both these players are kind of well versed and possibly widely underrated. So 800 and 1200, definitely not a solid representation of their skill. So far, they're playing very solidly, and now black, and now Voyboy has a slight pawn advantage. I mean, it might be a huge advantage, but you know, maybe if black can get the rook lined up, if somehow get rid of. Oh, well, first of all, black could have taken this bishop. So, oh, okay, yeah, you take the bishop anyway. Okay, yeah. So now black is definitely winning, up an entire piece. Play bishop g5, threatening to get rid of the knight. That was the line I was referring to. Okay, yeah, bishop g5. Yeah, like I was saying, you play bishop g5, and it threatens to get rid of the knight, and then you trade it off, and then bishop takes, and then what? And then you play knight d5. But now white is completely losing here. There is always a chance that that Voyboy could blunder away the piece, especially if you don't continue to protect that knight. So if you play queen b6 here, it's pretty much the only move. If you play any other move that doesn't protect the knight, like if you move here, if you move queen b3 or anywhere along this diagonal, if you play any other move besides queen b, yeah, okay, so you do defend the knight. Well, b2 is defended by the queen, so the queen cannot capture on b2. Now you're attacking the knight twice. So now there actually are chances for Nate. So now the knight could come over to c6, but the pawn takes, the queen takes back. You're getting back some material as white. You get back a piece for a pawn. But that gives a lot more play to. Oh, never mind. I didn't see that one. For some reason, I didn't see that. I thought that was defended. I thought there was a pawn on c2. Yeah, so that is definitely an issue. Now white's completely losing. This is gonna go south really fast. Hopefully, you'd rather lose a rook than a queen. Yeah, this is getting really painful to watch. This is the first game in this round between Fusli and Erob ended with Fusli delivering a checkmate on h7 very early in the game. And so this game is ending, it was starting out really strong for both sides. And it looked like there was equal chances for both sides. But then what happened is Nate allowed the pawn to be lost on a5. And then not only that, but after that, moved the knight here where it was not defended amply. It was just, I mean, there was a knight defending that pawn, and then not only that, but you just lost a piece, and now you lost a rook, and now you're down to a rook and a pawn, or two pieces, however you want to look at it. Wonder if they would play the London system. Well, Fuseli played the London system. All these players have been getting coaching from like Hikaru Nakamura, from Alexandra Botes, from Hans Niemann, from all the people at chess.com and all the associated Twitch channels. They've all been getting some top level training. However, these are all beginning players for the most part. Voyboy is probably Voyboy is the player who is slated to be taking the entire tournament. Because from what people have been talking about, Voyboy has had the most experience, has the highest strength, has been just dominating every time he streams, or at least not dominating, but playing very well. And so Voyboy is slated to win this entire tournament. However, any one of these players can surprise us. This is only round 1, day 1. Bishop takes f3 would shatter the pawn structure. Well, if you play bishop takes... Yeah, if you're white, all you have to do is just start trading off pieces. This would also expose the king. So when you're up material, you just want to simplify the position. You want to get rid of all of your opponent's mating chances, because it doesn't matter how much material you have if you get mated in one move. So if your opponent has mating chances, your opponent has less mating chances if there's less pieces on the board. Even if you trade off equally, it's not really equal because you're already up material. So obviously Nate got rid of that idea, because when you're down material, you still want to play forcefully. You still want to make sure that maybe you're going to be playing bishop h6, attacking the rook. However, the rook has plenty of squares to go to, so Voyboy is in absolutely no danger as long as he makes sure there's no mating threats. And with a bishop, rook, and a knight, especially with where the rook is placed right now, there's very little chance to get mated. You'd have to march your pawns upward on the king side, and you'd have to let trades happen that you'd probably see coming from a mile away. Bishop e2 on the horizon. Yeah, bishop e2 attacking the rook, but the rook just moves. Maybe you would threaten the bishop. You take the pawn first, and then maybe you move the rook, and then you're going to win a pawn back, but that's still down an entire 2 pieces at that point. Take the pawn, but then not only that, but you open up the A file for black's A8 rook, and yeah, okay, so we did do that. And then if you play here, then eventually rook A1's coming. If you trade off, bishop takes, and now you have bishop pair ending, and you have a king and a rook. So it's completely dominating. Nate Hill, is definitely not going to be able to win unless there's some serious blunders being made. If like Voyboy would have to just completely just let Nate win in order to just lose this game. Yeah, so it looks like he's playing exactly the moves I was talking about. Basically, bishop e2 basically game over for white because the b pawn successfully still unclear though, given the writing. Well, this is already basically game over. It was game over ever since you lost the piece. But now it's just getting worse and worse and worse for white, and this is going to be some trouble here, especially with this pawn structure. You're going to be marching your pawns in. If I was playing black here, I would just play rook a1. If you play rook a1, that means that, yeah, you'd have to take the rook because of the pin. You can't move the rook anywhere. You can't take the bishop because that would give you check. So rook takes rook, bishop takes rook, and this is like, you're just going to march this pawn forward and maybe try to get rid of this knight. Maybe you're going to play after that. You play bishop c3, get the knight away from b1, and then you just march this pawn forward. No offense, but you're trash. Yeah, so yeah, you're just going to take that rook, take the rook, and then you're going to probably want to play bishop c3 and then march the pawn over to promote. Now you can just attack the knight. If you take, well, then you're just going to take the pawn and you're going to threaten promotion. But you still have to get rid of this dark squared bishop. Okay, so yeah, protect the bishop first. Yeah, and then now getting the bishop away, and white has absolutely no options here. The only thing you can really do is maybe you can play d4, just to break up the pawn structure, maybe get control over this diagonal, but however, there is a bishop here guarding that. So if you did that, black would be happy to trade. So if you play d4, If you play d4, okay, well, if you play d4, bishop takes d4. Uh, no, after c takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, you'd be happy to trade. And it's not even really a trade, to be honest. It's just that would just be completely losing for white. This is already losing. I mean, it feels so painful, like just commentating after such a huge piece disadvantage for white. This is just completely just, he's really a trooper. Nate is following, many coaches' advice, which is to always play to the very end, even if you're just like completely losing. There's always the chance your opponent will stalemate, and there's always the chance your opponent will blunder. However, it does not look like, judging by Voyboy's play, does not look like he's going to blunder away an entire queen, basically. So you'd have to give up all three of these pieces, and I don't see that happening. And even if you do give up all three of those pieces, black has just a completely just dominating pawn structure. So even if you take all the pieces off the board for black, if you somehow traded them off, and the pawn structure alone. But now it's like there's just so many threats. You just trade, and black is happy to take that trade. Just take the knight, and you're just gonna slowly just destroy your opponent. Just promote, and then maybe play queen c1 check, and then I don't know. If you do that in that situation, if you keep the bishop in this far apart, if you are able to promote here, or promote here, and then play queen c1, then you'd be able to win the bishop. You could play king g7 and then play h6 to force the bishop off that diagonal. Okay, so you're going to give a check, and that's kind of half-hearted. Yeah, you could just move there. Yeah, there's plenty of winning chances for black here. I would say the easiest just to promote on the b file. Is he offering a draw? I hear a sound. It's like tick. Don't offer a draw when you're losing. Yeah, this is just, I don't know what he's trying to do with that bishop, but you could just promote here. Yeah, I almost think I heard a draw offer. I hope Nate Hill isn't the one offering the draw. If somebody's offering a draw, I hope it's Voyboy. But Voyboy should not be offering a draw. Voyboy should just be completely like, I'm gonna destroy you. I mean, this is $10,000 on the line, you guys. Like this is, he needs to win every single round. If you really, I mean, he should be okay, but like you need, like, you're playing for $10,000. Like, there's $50,000 in prize money. I'm sure he's gonna do fine either way, but this isn't. I mean, obviously, maybe he doesn't need the money, but at the same time, like, you're in a tournament, you want to go for the win. You want to kill your opponent, like destroy them. I mean, obviously this is a tournament for fun, but there is a lot of money on the line, so it's not just for fun, like, in a sense. Like, that's, I mean, $10,000 not a small amount of money. Like, seriously, this is only round one. Yeah, Voyboy's completely destroying here with the queen on the board. This is almost too painful to watch, but we're gonna keep going. Nate is a trooper. Nate is making the game go as long as he can, and we have to see whether Voyboy knows how to deliver the checkmate. So maybe you play queen f1 to get the rook and the queen lined up on the same diagonal, or you could just play queen c1, threatening. Okay, so yeah, now you can just take the bishop with check. But you could have, if you played king h5, it would have been rook h2 mate. So yeah, queen takes h6 check. Hey, Senikuba. Yeah, so queen h1 check also works, but now you can't really take the bishop in this case. Probably going to bring maybe queen g2 just to attack that pawn, and then you play bishop f3, and then you play queen takes g4. Yeah, welcome to the stream, Senikuba. But yeah, either way, there's tons of ways to win for black. Just has to be careful about stalemate. Yeah, there we go, checkmate. So yeah, that was a very disappointing turn of events there, because this was actually very equally played for the most part of the game. And then it was here when you play a5. Sadly, this pawn is defended once. However, it is attacked twice. And so this was the start of the snowball falling down the mountain. Was after white gave up a pawn. Not only that, but you just gave up a piece here. So that knight had an important job, and that is guarding the bishop here on b5. Wow. That person's getting banned. That's a shame. But yeah, that knight was having a very important job defending that bishop. So as soon as you move the knight away, I know that you're trying to make ideas, like maybe you're going to play knight e7 check, but there's not really, I mean, you're going to win a pawn, but you're not really winning a pawn because you just, well, first of all, black could have just taken this piece right away. But not only that, actually, no, you couldn't really do that. Yeah, you can do that. But either way, you still win the piece, and then it's just, from that point, after you put the queen on d2, there's this fork here. So you really got to be careful about these squares where you can be easily forked. And so white got forked in many ways, and then it just got downhill, and just white is completely losing here. And then we have a checkmate with the pawn, no less. A pawn, f6. So many trolls on Twitch. Yeah, I mean, they're... I mean, I'm low rated, but I don't go around saying like, oh, you know, what are you? You're nothing. Blah, 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 blah. These people are just trolls. They just get banned, and I can move on with my life and continue my, my kind of intermediate level analysis. And, you know, sometimes these people are higher rated, but at the same time, maybe they earned that rating like questionably. So I live out in the open. I'm honest. I don't cheat. I don't artificially boost my rating by playing against my friends, and I don't do things like that. I play a lot of chess, Mr. Chinad. I play chess almost every day, actually mostly every day. I try to do tactics for at least an hour a day, if not longer, maybe 2 hours. I'm working on some chess books. I've had a few lessons so far from Orlova Chess here on on my chess.com. Well, Mr. Shannon, no need to be rude to Elite Chess Lounge. Everybody's open to discuss things here. I just blundered the game is what happened. But of course, you know, the thing about chess is we can analyze however much we want about any position, any game. Obviously, there is a point where it's just like, well, this is just already completely losing now that you got your queen on h8. So it was pretty bad. Most of the games I lose are not from are just from me missing like absolutely like just game losing moves for me. Like I just blunder a move like randomly. Like I need to stop doing that. Like it's just like I missed that your bishop and queen were lined up. I don't know why. I mean, I know why because it was only a 5-minute game, but well, it looks like he's having connection issues. Okay, looks like he got connected, got everything back. Okay, so we're doing King's Pawn opening. Now, there's a lot of theory in King's Pawn openings, so maybe he's booked up a little bit on E-Pawn openings. Now we have the 3 knights, 4 knights. Okay, pretty standard stuff so far. So it looks like he might be able to avoid a lot of theory here now. Because of the 4 knights game. There's not too much theory. It's a pretty symmetrical idea. Getting the bishop activated to e2 is probably important. Bishop g5, of course, pinning the knight. The bishop would have to go back to get rid of the pin, so then kind of, you just attack the knight. Okay, doubling up pawns on the f file. Queen, not doubling up, queen comes in. So it's, they're moving pretty quickly. right now. I would say uh, critical should probably slow down a little bit. They should both slow down. What is it? What's their name? What's his name? Moist Critical. Um, yeah, I feel like he's just kind of moving really instinctively. The thing about chess is if you each move is extremely important, and if you make any kind of inaccuracy, your opponent's going to be able to take advantage of that. And with 10 minutes on your clock with increment, you're going to have the ability, like this 5-second increment, you have at least 5 seconds per move. And so the tendency for a lot of beginners is as soon as your opponent makes a move, you want to just jump out there and make a move to it. Because we're used to playing like FPS games, we're used to playing like strategy games like StarCraft or MOBAs like League of Legends. The thing about chess though is that it's not a real-time game, it's a turn-based game. And so when it's your turn to move, your opponent doesn't get to move at the same time you do, like in a real-time game, like in a real-time strategy game. And so now he's starting to use his time, and I feel like now it's not too late. There's similar material, but White is losing some tempo by having to move the knight back to c3. I would not say this is terrible for White or Black. This is a pretty equal position. Looks like Black does have some extra pawn moves that might prove to be a liability because Black's light squared bishop is still undeveloped, but so is White's. Okay, so now you're moving the knight a third time. Attacking the queen, but the queen has places to go, like maybe queen f4, maybe just back to queen d8. Or you could play queen g6 and maintain a pressure on the king side. Yeah, okay, queen e6, just trying to get control over this diagonal here. However, that's not going to be working out for Black too well because of this. So I guess this works out. If you really want, you could throw away that knight and double up pawns. Although maybe Black would start then gaining control over the c file. Okay, so yeah, you do that, and then you develop your bishop, and then you castle. How did he get a space in his username? I think they did that. I think chess.com did that because chess.com can manually override people's names, and this is the Pogchamps tournament. And I think certain people requested to have their full name in there instead of a username. Like Moist Critical just went with Turbo Fisto, but I guess Hutch went with Sean Hutchinson. So I think they do have a choice. I think they have a choice on whether to use a username or to have their full name. I think that's probably some behind the scenes stuff going on. Is that why they changed mine to Whiny Crybaby Lols? Yes, that is why. Okay, so moving a pawn forward. However, there is a knight and okay, yeah. Maybe you're gonna move the knight out, and if knight takes, queen takes, and then there's a hole here because there's no pawns that can come down. Maybe putting pressure here, but there's no dark squared bishop. So if only you had bishop on c3, this would actually be a hugely powerful move, forcing Black to play f6. But sadly, White traded his dark squared bishop. So Black's gonna have some weaknesses here with this light squared bishop because this pawn is has to move in order to open up this diagonal. And not only that, but is this diagonal really proving too powerful for Black? Definitely not going to activate along the queen side because this pawn needs 1-2 moves just to get to bishop b7. Castling queen side. That's kind of odd to me. Maybe thinking of playing king b1 and then rook c1. And that's a little odd to me. I would have thought just play bishop d3, castle king side, and then you bring this rook a to c1, and then you maintain defense. Well, I guess okay. Not only that, this pawn is defended by the bishop and the queen, so. It's not going to be too easy for Black to attack this pawn here on c4. This is an important pawn for White. Looks like White is actually winning here. I would definitely prefer to play the white pieces, although it's still equal material, and the only difference that I see, the major inaccuracy, is that Black's light squared bishop is boxed in, Whereas white can play his light squared bishop over to d3, defending both pawns, freeing up the queen. Maybe the queen can come over to the king side. Okay, now just trading off. At this point, I don't know if you want to trade off. Maybe you can actually just take this pawn. It doesn't really seem... Oh, no, okay, no, there's a threat here. Not really threat. If you sacrifice your queen, you can get the rook in. But, yeah, so you could just take this pawn. The only attack... the only real attack black has... I mean, I guess you can play king f4 check. I mean, queen f4 check. But you just play king c2. Let's see. Is there anything that black could do here from this point? Moist Critical's taking his time here. This is actually a critical moment right here. I would say this is a critical moment. If I was playing white here, I want to take this pawn, but there is always this threat of just checking the... Okay, so you're just going to trade off. Queen e1 would be losing for black. Yeah, exactly. Black would not want to sacrifice the queen. If there was more force... If the king was like... if there was like a chance for a stifle mate, like a back rank mate, but because white played c4, the king can always escape. Now, if the king was over on b1 and there was the pawn still on c2, then maybe you'd want to sacrifice the queen. You could play queen e1, rook takes e1, and then rook takes e1 mate. However, white has escape squares. Coordinates are drunk. That happens. Sometimes your coordinates just have way too much fun. They go out with their friends, and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna have one beer, except it's an Oktoberfest beer, and you know what happens with those. Now the rook, this bishop is pretty weak. I would say that it was not. I mean, white was happy to trade off, even though black is up a pawn. So there are some ideas here, but white can just develop his bishop to bishop d3, maybe play rook e1, rook takes e1, rook takes e1, and then you're threatening some checks here, and you're pinning the bishop, weakening the bishop even further. Yeah. Bishop e2 works as well. I guess it's defending the... Oh, well, that doesn't work, actually. I forgot. Okay, so he was winning, and now he's not. So the blunders happened just like it did in my game, but this should not have happened with 7 minutes on your clock. Like, bishop, maybe it was a misclick. I would like to say that. But bishop e2 is just giving away a bishop for free. There's really nothing that white can do now. Down a piece and a pawn. So you're already down a pawn as black, except in this position, black has a weakened light squared bishop compared to a completely active light squared bishop that's defending a pawn and also able to get over here and attack the king side. And bishop d3 would have been perfect for white. And then play rook he1. And then you're just completely dominating the center of the board. Completely open files, which rooks love open files. And then not only that, but the bishop can come from d3, go to c2. And now you could just have your rooks completely dominating the center. And if the rook trades, you just continue to dominate the center, and you're threatening check, pinning the bishop, weakening it even further. However, giving up a piece, just completely losing. So there's really not much white can do from here. Maybe we'll see a complete turnaround. Maybe Hutch will blunder. It's always possible. Yeah, you suspect it was a misclick. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. These are gamers. These are like professional gamers here. Like these are people who do not misclick. Like they shouldn't, at least. Maybe they're not used to playing chess on websites. Maybe that's it. Is that you're not used to the interface, and it does take getting used to. I'm gonna give Moist Critical the benefit of the doubt and say that he just misclicked bishop e2. Yeah, that would have been amazing back rank attack. It wouldn't be a back rank mate. Oh no, it would, because the bishop would be covering h7. So after if black were to trade the rooks, the rook would have come over to e8 and it would have been checkmate. But now black has like extremely strong chances. If white just trades off, it's gonna be winning for black with a central pawn duo. I would actually think the best thing to do would just be to try to save the rook. Maybe rook d5 and then playing rook h d1, doubling up the rooks at least. Well, this pawn is still under attack as well, so maybe even, I mean, if you play c5, you're defending the rook, but the rook can just take, and then you take, and then yeah, you block the pawn. Maybe black doesn't get to have the central pawn structure, but you are up a piece, and you know, you're gonna have to develop this bishop somehow. Maybe just play b6 at that point, because that square would no longer be defended by the pawn, so you just get the bishop out, maybe push here and then push here. You'd have all the time in the world to get that bishop into the game, and black would be pretty much destroying. I mean, black's already destroying white here. The emoji didn't work. Yeah, sometimes emojis don't work. I don't know why. Like, I really don't know why. Okay, so doubling up the rooks. I mean, that doesn't. I mean, that defends the rook, but you know, when you're down material, you don't want to be trading off material. Twitch is always drunk. But when you're down material, you really don't want to be trading. When you're down a rook at this point, and there's really no chances. You're not going to be able to promote. Not only that, but black has these extra pawns, and they're centralized. This pawn is definitely going to promote somehow. You could just mosey this king right in here to attack this rook. You know, rook can come over here, but then, yeah, there's multiple chances. Maybe you just play b5 at that point. I mean, yeah, I mean, Moist trying to develop his pawns. F pawn is the weakest for white. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty weak pawn. Can't easily be attacked because black has a light squared bishop. So maybe play f5 at some point, and then you have somewhat of a structure. But yeah, I mean, already down a rook. But if you lose this f pawn, there's absolutely no chance. But there's already basically no chance. There's no chance for white. Black would have to black would have to critically blunder against Moist Critical, and maybe that's what Moist Critical is counting on. Maybe he's counting on that critical blunder, but I doubt that's going to happen. Usually in the game of chess, even among you know, I don't know, among beginners, there's always the chance that somebody's just going to drop a piece for no reason on either side. And so sometimes you're up a queen, but then your opponent like just drops their own queen, and then not only that, but they drop a queen and a piece for no reason. But then after that, then you drop a piece, and then it's equal again. It's a wild roller coaster that we play as beginners. I would like to think of myself. I have different kinds of problems as a player. I don't make problems like that. Like, I seem to be able to understand positions and to make calculations. I just overlook certain things. And obviously, if there's only like 5 minutes on the clock, I'm not going to be seeing as much as I should. Although then again, I still make errors in like 30-minute games where I'm just miscalculating that I'm going to be down a piece, and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I even doing this? But yeah, this is pretty much game over for white. But I mean, obviously, you know, it's a good advice, especially as a beginner. Continue on to the end. There's always a chance your opponent will blunder, and then even if they don't blunder too bad, there's always a chance that they're not going to know how to checkmate, and they probably might even get stalemate. So you want to play all the way to the end as much as you can. And so Critical is really doing that very well. He's just trying to hang in there as white. Black is just dominating too much here. And I would say, now you can finally get the bishop developed. But white can actually play rook b6 here. And yeah, I almost feel like king e7 was a mistake. Because now white can play bishop b6, rook b6, and now the bishop can't come out because you would just take. Although that's really easy to remedy for black. You just play rook a7. and then you could easily develop your bishop. Or at that point, you could just play d5. So yeah, this gives a couple of threats and pressure against black, but it's definitely not enough when you're down a rook. Down a piece and 2 pawns, really. Okay, well, you could just go here and just kind of like passively move the pieces. Now that the black slice squared bishop is completely into the game now. He disconnected. Yeah, I think his connection is really weak right now because at the beginning of the game, it took him like a minute. I think they gave him time back on the clock, but he was getting disconnected at the very beginning of the game. Or I mean, even just developing with bishop e6, and then you're attacking the rook some more, and you're just putting pressure. Maybe you move the rook here, but that it's. I mean, okay, so rook h5 with maybe ideas of rook h7 to it, but all you have to do is play king f6, and that defends the pawn, and you're not going to have to worry about white promoting on the g file. Well, that too, you could just place your bishop here, and then now, even if you somehow did get rid of this pawn, which you don't have to. Who needs chess.com's commentary when we have Rebecca Loran's commentary? Much more enjoyable here. Hashtag. Well, I'm pretty sure they have the best commentary available right now. I'm definitely going to be watching their VOD after this on my own. However, I am taking this opportunity during this whole tournament for the next few weeks. This is the final game of the day. So after this, I'm going to end the stream, and then I'm going to go back and watch their replay. It's been 4 hours. Luckily, I can skip through all the intermissions, and I can just watch the 3 games and the interviews. So that's going to be really interesting to watch after this. I'm going to be back later tonight, and I'm going to be doing my chess puzzles that I need to do daily, and then just play some more rapid games, 15-minute with 10-second increment. Hopefully play viewers if we get enough viewers. So Elite Chess Lounge, I really appreciate your help here. I really appreciate your congrats on the mod badge. Hopefully you don't abuse it. I'm pretty sure you won't, but obviously as anybody, because some people have played the long con on me, where they just they pretend to be really nice and then suddenly they just stop being nice. But I don't really, I mean, it upsets me a little bit. But at the same end of the day, if somebody does something that's ban worthy, I'll just ban them. I don't care who they are. I don't care if you've been here for months, if you've subscribed to me, if you start doing things that are against my channel rules, especially when it comes to bigotry or any kind of like hatred towards other people, you're going to get banned. But as a mod, if you do something that's like, I mean, there's different levels, right? Like if you start abusing the mod badge, but you're not like doing anything like against my rules or anything, you're just kind of abusing it, then I'll just take away the mod badge. That's no problem. I feel like that's punishment enough. You seem to be doing the right thing. It's people like you that I really stream for. It's people who really come in here and kind of, fight for me. Especially when people, obviously I know I'm very low rated. I'm not claiming to be a grandmaster. I'm not claiming to be a strong player. I'm an improving player. I've been told I'm very strong for my rating. I've been told I played against Amon Hamilton, and I was like, oh, they're like, hey, you're pretty good, like somebody in the chat was, and I'm like, what? I lost, and I laughed because I obviously am going to lose against a grandmaster. Although I also think that that's a bad mindset to have. Is obviously, you're pretty much like guaranteed you're going to lose against a grandmaster if you're not a grandmaster yourself. But I feel like that's a wrong mentality to have. Is you should just play the position. Play the best you can, because technically if you play better than your opponent, it doesn't matter if they're a grandmaster or not. Most likely a grandmaster is going to find better moves than you, so good luck. But at the same time, like, I tried my best and I got to like move like 38 or something against a grandmaster, and I lost because of it was, and somebody said, what are you talking about? You made it to move 32 or whatever against a grandmaster and lost because of a slow positional grind. Like I lost because of a miscalculation, and he talked about the position later too. Is like, yeah, you lose the exchange here, and any chances you had were out the window. And obviously, you look at the game afterwards and you see stuff like that. But it's like, it's one thing to see it afterwards, but to see it during the game is really when it's really important. Like, to be able to say, hey, like I need to create a position where I'm gonna be like in an advantage here. Like that's really something that like takes a lot of skill and experience and a lot of practice. So it's pretty much game over for white here. We're watching this just to see how it plays out. We're going to look at the game again afterwards, and then I'm going to end the stream, take a break to watch the chess.com coverage, because they've got to have A+ coverage. And of course, then we have checkmate right in the middle of the board. Ain't that a bitch? Sent I am John Bartholomew an email today since he's accepting new students. Nice. Hopefully, you'll be able to make some YouTube videos with him, and I'll be able to see it. If that ever happens, just post that to my Discord. Hopefully we can start growing. I'm gonna take this opportunity during Pogchamps to try to grow, because there's always the chance that people. I'm gonna stick around for a little bit. Let me play one rapid game, and then I'm gonna end the stream. Would you like to play me a rapid game? Because that'd be a good way to end the stream for now. Because I feel like I should hang out a little longer. I mean, there's 40,000 people in the chess category right now. There's always the chance people are just going to completely, like, raid my... I'm already getting worn out. It's messed up. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. That's been an interesting day so far. I will be back for day 2 of the Pogchamps tournament. I might be back later to work on some tactics. Okay, so maybe I'll be back. Maybe I'll be back later. I don't know. Okay, so bye.